Oh, hello, and welcome to Dente Rigamortis. I'm Review Cultist.
And I'm Dr. Leviathan.
And we're here to discuss those internet stories, most creepy and most pasta. Tonight we have The Physics of Madness. So, for those of you just tuning in, creepypasta are, in essence, campfire stories that are told across the internet. You can also go Google it, find out a proper definition, but it's essentially the rundown of that. And for the rundown of this story, it begins with this guy is leaves home, goes to school, and it's a special day because the Hadrian Collider is.
Yeah, I always thought it was Hydron.
It's Hadron. Or you thought it was Hydra?
No, Hydron.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Or Hadron. There we go.
Yeah. No, it is actually Hadron, not.
I know.
Yeah. Anyway,
it was being a dick.
Yeah.
To the best of my knowledge, the Hadrian.
Yeah, Hadrian, I did it. I don't know what I'm doing, still online in an Ani accent.
Wow, we are like what 30 seconds into this.
Yeah, to the best of my knowledge, the Hadrian Collider doesn't exist.
Yeah,
never did exist. Never will exist.
So he goes to school and he's in his physics class, and they've got TVs like set up so they can watch the launching of the Hadrian Collider, which it's never been done before, and they want to know what'll happen when they smash the particles together and stuff. And people are worried, like, what will happen if it fails? What will happen if it succeeds? All that noise stuff that was happening a couple of years down back in the day when the actual Hadrian Collider and other colliders were being worked on or being done. So they launch it up, they set it up, and boom, something goes wrong. Is it like just a rift in reality just opens up like right off the get-go?
Yeah, it basically just blows up.
Just kickstarts with, the Hadron Collider collided, and a rift in reality opens up, and things start coming out. Alien creatures and a weird mist starts pouring out. And these guys are like 20 minutes drive or 20 miles away from the actual collider in their town. So, suffice to say, chaos just explodes. People start freaking out. Lives are lost and whatnot. Meanwhile, back at this high school, same thing's going on. Riots are starting. They're running out of their school, staff are trying to get to their homes.
People are literally smashing windows to
and
get
leaping out on 3-story buildings.
And I'm like, was every class watching this? Because, like, I don't understand why Spanish class is watching this momentous day in physics.
Yeah. Or like the drama class. Like,
yeah. I don't think in auto shop they really give a fuck about a super
nobody
collider.
should be unless like the science class just like freaked out, left their buildings and just started like spreading the word really fast. There's no reason for that to have happened, but it did. And people, apparently somebody just broke one of the windows of this high school and left out 3 floors and just got up and started limping away. Which I just kind of thought was both really ridiculous and kind of humorous when I read that.
Oh yeah, I definitely enjoyed. Not for any of the right reasons.
Yeah, no, of course not.
I thoroughly enjoyed this particular scene because it was just,
anarchy and silliness.
And, just instant.
Yeah, and that's kind of the motif of this story, which we'll get into. So, this dude, I can't even remember his name.
Here is my favorite part of the freak out scene.
Okay, yeah.
Because, parents are already showing up to
I know,
collect
right?
their kids.
Yeah.
It's were they waiting in the parking lot watching it on their fucking smartphones and shit? Just down the street, well, I don't want to baby him too much, so I'm just gonna wait down the street for when the chaos ensues. And then, oh shit, it's happening!
I have to point this out slightly. Why are American parents speaking in English accents?
I already answered this question. I was watching a British documentary earlier.
I thought that was serious.
And I adopt accents pretty quickly, and when I'm doing a voice, I usually throw on...
The British one.
Well, some sort of accent, you know, be it hillbilly or British or Russian or whatever, and since I've been watching that, that's the one that came to my mind.
Yeah, no, I just thought that was first, but so this dude, the main character, and his buddy get out of science class. One of their other
Don't
buddies,
worry, folks.
Yeah,
they used the door.
They didn't jump out.
They don't jump out the window.
They went with the rest of the crowd and left the building. Then they see one of their other buddies, Tyrell, show up. And he's bloodied because he just got out of the washroom and suddenly a horde of kids just trampled him, like it was fucking like Black Friday. Oh.
It's actually like Purple Tuesday or whatever it is.
Is it really? God damn.
I don't know, but the smoke's purple.
Oh right, okay, yeah, So.
Yeah, like
it's just...
I don't know what's up with this guy being out of the loop. Like, you know,
everybody else
taking a piss. Yeah, but taking a piss is no excuse to not be up to the millisecond.
Especially when even the gym class is informed of physics.
Yeah, all the meatheads in the locker room, and for
like...
anyone listening who's a meathead in the locker room, yeah, well, sorry. But seriously, that's a generalization, and it's for the most part accurate.
We're just nice.
Yeah. But I mean, like, all of these people who don't give a flying fuck
about science.
Yeah,
or advanced science, like quantum mechanics kind of shit.
Yeah, because, like...
I mean, I remember, like, hearing about the Hadron Collider when I was in college, I think, was it? Holy crap. Anyway, back
in my day, when they didn't
but I have a kind of an interest in science to a slight degree. Like, I have enough of it that
you just want it to go horribly wrong so that your...
Cthulhu monsters would
exactly
come into the world and I can greet my new masters. Yeah, no, like, I was informed enough, or kind of, but I mean, that wasn't because, that was just because I knew a little bit about science, but...
Yeah, like, I cared enough as, like, I knew enough to be informed that shit was going on, but I didn't, you know, I didn't watch it on the telly or anything.
Yeah, and, like, I knew, like, that, not everybody around me was, like, glued to their computers and TVs.
No one else gave a shit. Like, I knew, you know, the girlfriend didn't.
Yeah.
If I, you know, oh, fuck. In fact, I can't even remember exactly how long ago, but if it wasn't this girlfriend and it was a different girlfriend, yeah, she wouldn't have even understood the combination of the words Super Collider. Nice. Like, she'd have been like, what? Is that like where they test the cars with the dummies?
Oh. Anyway.
But you know what I mean? Like, that's how, you know, so I don't believe a bunch of high school students, let alone all of them...
Yeah, would just be like, go into a panic. Like, yeah.
I don't even think they'd understand. So they wouldn't have been paying attention. So they wouldn't have known. And then, like, yeah, I get word's gonna spread because, you know, 20 mile out, you got fucking purple smoke and monsters and shit, but it's gonna take a minute.
Yeah, but apparently it only takes 30 seconds for these, like, everybody to just scramble, including their parents who have just arrived. It's like, thank God they were just there in that neighborhood when shit went down. Anyway, back to the story. So
everyone remembers where they were when the Super Collider went all fucky. Because they were all at this high school.
Yeah. So these three friends decide to run back to the one guy's place and get suited up because it's like, well, my parents are off, like, out in another town, like they're somewhere else, like at work. I hope they're all right. And then they're like inside his house and they're looting the house, like, of stuff. It's like, oh, well, we don't have a car because my dad took it when for work and stuff. And it's like, all right, we'll just go to neighbor's house and we'll just I know how to jumpstart it. I was like, what? Like, okay, again, we're like maybe 30 minutes into the apocalypse. And this is what people's mindset is, apparently, is that, like, we need to instantly start looting and hijacking cars.
Well, and my favorite part about that is because before they left fucking our narrator's house.
Yeah.
They grab food and shit. They also remember their toothbrushes because they're good boys.
Yeah.
Who know how to fucking hotwire
They're Boy
a car.
Scouts. Yeah, so there is a car in the neighbor's garage. However, the neighbor's also in the neighbor's garage.
And so's his gun.
Yeah. So they get the car hotwired and they break through the garage door as the guy is shooting them or like shooting at them. Some buckshot hits the window and whatnot, and then but they're gone. Like they're already gone. And as they're driving out through town and out of town, the people, like the rest of the world, is just looting the shit out of everything, and it's just complete and utter chaos for some reason. And as they're driving out of town, they can see on the horizon the purple smoke is growing. And they get out to they camp out after during the night somewhere. I can't really recall which way or where it is, but
it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter. And they eventually get to another city or town, and they get on a plane and pilot and they don't. Yeah, sorry.
Hold on,
Oh,
because
okay.
this is when it first starts to creep up, and it happens like fucking 3 times, and it's just absolutely fucking annoying. Direct quote: "We saw a blue of motion, and something attacked the reporters."
Yeah. So at the beginning of the like when the first thing happens, like
now
the,
it's
the
clearly
terror
supposed to be blur of
right.
motion,
but they mention it 3 times as blue
Yeah.
of motion.
So my assumption here, and this is definitely assumption, so I'm going to make an ass out of you and umption, is that they spelt blur with an E. And then they're like doing their spell check, and they're like, well, okay, that's not a word, so it must have been like, they just changed and they changed it all to blue. Because later, they've got the word blur.
Yeah.
Like, now granted, it's way far removed from this particular instance, but yeah. Just fucking...
Yeah, no, it was confusing me as well. Like, I was like, wait,
didn't confuse me.
So the alien creature is a blue of motion? Because that's where, whenever they're recalling, like, what came through the rift, essentially, is this blue of motion. And so, getting back to this, they eventually get onto an airplane with a bunch of other evacuees to get to high ground, or to get to a military area, or like some kind of protection, like some sort of safe zone. I'm probably
hold on. I think you totally skipped a part, because they camp out, and they wake up, and a planet has appeared out of a hole in space.
Right, and the water, and because of that gravitational pull, the tides are rising and like sinking the coasts, so they need to get to higher ground. So
now,
yeah. Let's go.
Okay, this is kind of where I was hoping that this story wouldn't take me because of the title, but it was one of 2 places where it was going to take me to one or the other. One, I was going to be extremely pleased with the science because it was going to be well thought out and, maybe a little fantastical, but reasonably done. Or it was going to have a hint of knowledge about science, but be completely wrong in what it does with it.
Yeah.
Now, this planet, if it really is, close enough to the Earth, as in, one is orbiting the other, because whichever one's bigger, the other one would end up orbiting. It is going to have an effect on the tides, because that's what the moon is.
Yeah, because it's so because that unless it's something weird, like super weird, it's got to have mass, and mass creates gravity.
Exactly. Now, the thing with the tides is the reason we have high and low tides is because when the moon is facing a side of the planet. Now, keep in mind, I actually haven't necessarily 100% looked this up and figured it out. I'm just going with my basic
General
knowledge of physics.
Yeah.
When the moon is, on the side that the moon is facing, it pulls water to that side.
Yeah.
Thus giving you high tide on the moon-facing side. Mm-hmm. The opposite side of the world is low tide.
Yeah.
Because it's pulling the water.
Oh, yeah.
Now again, If I'm mistaken, whatever. But
Like, comment and subscribe.
laws of physics,
Yeah.
that's, how it should go. It doesn't generate water.
Yeah.
Like,
it's not melting the ice
You
caps
don't
and
have-
causing,
you don't have high tide in America, like in North America and Australia at the same time.
yeah.
You have high tide in one and low tide in the other.
Yeah, so if it's unequal, it would actually equal out probably, maybe, who knows. If there were two celestial bodies in the sky on opposite sides, it wouldn't generate more water.
Exactly.
To cause like a waterfall or like a tidal wave on either side. Yeah, I get what you're saying there, and honestly, right now, just getting
And I
this
mean,
out of the
don't
way.
get me wrong, the sudden appearance of a large celestial body is going to be
Horrible.
dramatic, and it is going to be catastrophic.
Yeah, it will screw up the planet probably indefinitely.
But, I mean, we're talking about, just...
In fact, he kind of almost downplays it a little bit with just tidal waves. Because, our atmosphere would be fucked if that was the case.
I don't know about that necessarily, but yeah,
A lot of shit would be wrong.
a lot of shit would be wrong, but basically we would have extreme tides, as opposed, because I'm assuming it's bigger than the moon, because
Yeah.
they call it
A planet, not a moon.
Yeah. Or even a meteorite or anything.
Yeah.
They call it a fucking planet. So, I'm going to go with that. Okay, it's at least the size of Earth, or at least around that size.
But maybe a little bit smaller, yeah.
So, we're going to have,
we're gonna have
more
issues.
pronounced tides.
And maybe a little bit wonkier.
But we're not going to flood most of the mainland
No.
of any one
The
continent.
only reason that would happen...
let alone all of them
Yeah.
at once.
the only reason that happened in any disaster movie ever was because the ice caps melted. Because that's most of our water is just frozen up in the poles. And that's where I think a lot, this story pulls a lot from different disaster flicks.
Now, I've heard somewhere, and I don't know the validity of this, but I've also heard that if you did melt both of the polar ice caps, that you still wouldn't have that tremendous amount of flooding that Hollywood likes to show us.
Yeah.
Now, again, like I say, I don't know the validity of that. I've never taken the measurements myself.
I mean, yeah, it's hard to say because, back in the day, prehistoric era, we did have an inland sea through North America. So, yeah, we had an ocean, where the plains are, where the flat zones are, it was all water.
Yes, but that's from melting glaciers.
Yeah, so, and those are now...
That's different.
Okay.
Because the water was already there in ice form,
Mm-hmm.
and then it melted.
Yeah.
It you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It had to go somewhere.
Yeah.
It took time for it to go there.
Okay. Gotcha. All right, yeah.
Also, the planet wasn't in its current configuration.
Exactly, yeah. Land levels have also, risen, too, so... But,
Well, yeah,
Somewhat,
there's tectonic shifting all of the time.
yeah. The point is, this story
The
is
point
kind
is
of wrong.
that this is probably the first time it tries to use science and fail. It fails horribly, because the rest of it, it's all fantasy and shit.
Yeah.
With the super collider going all fucky.
Yeah, because that was concerns back in the day, or when the colliders were being used, nothing ever came of it. So
Yeah.
and people weren't sure because it had never been done before.
Exactly. And
so-
even if that wasn't that, yeah.
Yeah,
Even if we didn't know that it was, fine-ish, what he wrote is still fantastical.
Oh yeah.
Whereas this is trying to be science, and most of America will be underwater.
Yeah, exactly. So we need to get to higher ground. So
Yeah.
back to the story, they get onto a plane, and are flying to a safer zone. And while they're in the plane, some creatures rip through the plane and start attacking. And luckily, though, our heroes...
Here's my favorite part. Okay.
Oh, yeah, I think I know what you're talking about.
Now, you've seen... Now, I don't know he doesn't say what kind of plane. So I assume...
I always assumed it was a jumbo jet.
Exactly. That's what I assumed, too.
Plane.
Now, you've seen the windows on that,
Yep.
right?
Yep. I've been on them
They're
recently,
pretty fucking
so, yeah.
small.
Yeah. Yeah, they're, head-sized.
Okay. Now, do you recall the height measurement of one of these creatures?
7 feet.
Yep. Now
I don't
think
know why.
about
I don't know
that.
why I know that, but yeah,
Because it's specifically said
it's a
that it's
7 foot
7 foot tall. Now, if it's proportionately normal, for lack of a better
wingspan.
term, not even the wingspan, because wings could be folded up, but just the sheer, okay, you're 7 feet, I'm not quite 6 feet tall, I'm a couple inches shy of 6 feet.
Yeah.
And I could not crawl through one of those windows.
No. The only way
Now let's add
yeah.
over a foot to my height. Now, to keep me proportioned properly, I'm going to get wider.
Yeah, exactly. Like, the only thing I can think of, which is giving this story a little too much credit, is that they ripped through the door, the actual, like, escape doors. But still, like, you're, like, several thousand feet in the air, that's going to be a problem right there. Like, right off the get-go, you've just broken the cardinal rule of keeping a plane in the air.
Yeah.
So, like, getting rid of that, like, just impossibility. These guys are being attacked by a monster inside the plane. The pilots are already dead. Which, again, already solid problem. And dude's about to get killed by one of the monsters, and his buddy pulls out a gun from a dead marshal that happens to be in, like, sitting next to them, and blows its head off.
Well, and my favorite part is that there happens to be two more
I know,
air
right?
marshals, because we've got
Like,
two
is this
more main characters.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like, it's like the guy's writing a really bad video game script.
And then my favorite part is that they, like, get into the cockpit, no problem.
Yeah, no problems whatsoever. They get in there, oh shit, they're dead. And then the plane is just spiraling down to the like,
Do you know how hard it is to get into an airplane cockpit these days?
yeah.
It's damn near impossible, and there's a reason for it.
Yeah, exactly.
So that three teenage maniacs with guns don't do it.
Yeah, but they do it. So, what the hell? Yeah, they see the pilots are dead. The monster. There's a monster in there too, so they start shooting at it and destroy them.
All of a sudden, monsters are like flooding the cockpit, and they're just like having a fucking gun shootout. Now, again, like, because I know I keep saying this, but I have so many favorite parts of this story. So, favorite part of this story, you've got monsters coming in the cockpit. You got three guys who've lifted guns from air marshals.
Yeah.
Assuming that, they lifted whatever ammo the air marshal was carrying.
They don't have enough ammo.
They have a very limited amount of ammo for this gunfight. But by God, it is fucking epic.
Yeah.
It's just like three amigos, like all bam blam, shooting up instruments, because who got time to aim?
Exactly. Now, bear in mind, these are 15 or 16-year-olds, too, I think. They even mentions, because they're, like, in high school. Like, I know it's America, but at the same time, like, it's Illinois. I think there's gun laws I think there's actually pretty strict gun laws in Illinois.
Dude,
so
they're clearly gangbangers. One of them knew how to hotwire a car.
Right.
Yeah, these
Clearly,
are straight up thugging.
Yeah.
The thug life did not choose them. Or, sorry, they did not choose the thug life. It chose them. Exactly. You're thinking they're like that. No, they're like gun sideways.
For the listeners at home, we just tilted our hands in a gun motion, in a gun way.
But yeah, just like, fucking hilarious.
It's entertaining. It's just dumb entertaining. And so the plane starts spiraling because there's no pilots and all the equipment's destroyed. And the plane crashes somehow, and this blows my mind. Like, somehow they mustered up enough plot armor to survive a plane crash that spiraled. It didn't even crash, progressively crash, slide down across the thing. It just spiraled down and dropped. Like, that would kill everyone in that plane. And not only did these guys survive with just bumps and scratches, there were more survivors. Which, just blows my mind. I'm assuming the people that survived were the ones that weren't killed initially by the aliens.
Yeah.
Because that's what they are. But, yeah, so, police and firefighter...
My favorite part about the landing is, Tyrell kicked open the door. It's that's not... Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
It's got a handle.
Yeah.
Little fucking air slide or whatever.
God damn it.
And then, yeah, you got, like, a bunch of dead people scattered around the plane. And there are, like, in all of this fucking chaos, there are sirens coming.
Yeah. Somebody at the local ambulance or something, like, while they're dealing with all the other crises, they're like, oh shit, we need to get to that plane that's coming down.
Yeah, like, I mean...
So, but yeah, they get there. By God, they get there. And do they... What happens next? Do they get sent to...
I think the plan is when they get to Denver.
Right, yeah.
So they're, like, staying in a stadium.
Yeah, they're staying at the Denver Stadium.
And I can't remember what happened, or what it was, but something, it might have actually been the flight, happened specifically on July 4th.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
We'll get into, like, all the
I
references.
noticed that, and I was just like, oh my God.
Man. Okay, so we're gonna, after this, like, this is a rough rundown, folks, we know.
Oh, no, wait.
We'll get through this.
Never mind, that's coming up.
Okay. So, yeah, because there's asteroids coming down, too, right? Or something...
Okay. So they're in Denver. It's the 30th of June. That it happened. Scientists showed satellite images showed a third portal open up in space for several days. A large dark portal hovered by Earth in space. It was on July 4th. This situation changed. At noon, the TV screens in the stadium were suddenly lit up with breaking news. Several huge asteroids exited the hole and began orbiting Earth.
Yeah.
One struck the moon, and a large piece of rock flew off, directly struck Central Africa, killing thousands.
Oh, God.
These asteroids, this is again where science fails the writer.
Oh, yeah.
3 asteroids grazed Earth.
Yeah.
Asteroids don't graze planets.
Not if they have atmosphere. Unless they don't have atmosphere, they're not going to graze a planet.
No.
Even
At all. Anything large enough to be...
Also, they shouldn't be called...
Hush, puppy.
Okay.
Because I make that same mistake all the damn time. Anything large enough to be called a planet, if an asteroid is going to come in and graze it, it's going to be...
Striking. And
the gravity of the planet is going to suck it in. Like it's not going to graze and carry on. It's going to fucking...
And then that'll be it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, he's like, again, a little nitpick thing, but I feel it has to be done. They're not called meteor. He keeps calling them meteors. When they strike a planet...
calling them asteroids, so fuck you.
All right, fair enough. I thought there were... Okay, anyways. There might have been something later that says meteors, but like I'm pretty sure if they're hitting the Earth, it's meteorites.
Chunks of Earth rain back down as meteors on the other side.
Gotcha.
You know, when the 3 grazed Earth.
And the 3 grazed Earth. Oh, God. So, they're in this stadium, like, and... what the fuck is happening right now in this story? When does the gravity start changing? Does that
that's
planet...
when Venus comes into play.
Right. Yes, when Venus hits. Oh my God! Or when Venus gets really close. This is like
right now. Like the rest of the rocks coming out of the portal are hurled off into space. One struck the ghost planet. Then it got scarier.
Yeah. Oh.
July 10th, recent events showed that 3 portals formed a bizarre triangle and that they exerted a force on the gravity binding planets to the sun. In exactly 3 weeks, Venus was supposed to strike Earth and Mercury would be swallowed by the sun.
Yeah.
Now, here's the best part of this.
Take it away.
So, okay. These 3 portals are fucking with planetary orbits around Sol, our sun.
Yeah.
But Earth's orbit is fine.
Yep. Well, don't you know, we're the center of the universe.
Unaffected,
We don't
apparently, by these extreme gravitational forces that are really fucking close to Earth, as far as I can tell.
Yeah.
So, like, stupid close to Earth. But they're affecting Mercury
and Venus,
which are much farther from us, from the portals than we are. At least that's the best I can surmise. Don't know what's going on with Mars.
Mars can piss off because it's on the other side of the planet, or it's on the other side of the orbital ring.
Yeah. But Earth's orbit is unaffected.
Yeah.
Don't really
In fact,
understand
the only reason like gravity starts fluctuating and going weird on Earth is when another planet shows up in our system in our
not even
proximity. Like the portals are affecting gravity, or supposedly affecting the orbits and stuff like that. But that, like, if those three planets are if they're having that much force on planets that far away, we should be all dead. Like, we should be crushed.
Shit should be happening to us.
Yeah, and in a much more catastrophic. Our planet should probably be cracking at this point.
Well, I would assume that it would shift our orbit and
Just
like. Our orbit's kind of a nice, precarious little thing that
Like, we're the only-
we don't want altered.
yeah, the only
much.
reason the only reason we're here is because our planet is
is because
correctly-
we're in the sweet spot for the sun to
Yeah.
have, life.
Yeah.
But, yeah. Like, I'm sure, like, when you take the measurements, like, they're ridiculous measurements.
Yeah.
But when you think about it on a, solar system scale, it's not really
not a very
that
big thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, at the very least, you're, like, so much wrong.
Yeah.
But whatever.
So
let's carry on.
Venus gets close enough that it starts screwing up our gravity. So what do these folks do? They decide to start running down into the basement level of the stadium because things are just flying up into the sky. What?
Hold on. This is where they have character development.
Oh, right. Okay.
Because one guy is all like, I believe in God and
God,
shit.
yeah.
And another guy's just like, we're all gonna die. And this
Game
is
over, man.
like, just, completely horribly written shit.
It's just
and
contrived.
It's funny.
Yeah.
It's funny as fuck.
So-
Okay, so now, anywho, Venus gets closer.
And the stadium itself, like, whole parts of it, if not the entire, like, upper part of the stadium are starting to, like, rise up. So these guys have the bright idea, well, we'll get down into the basement level so that we'll just stay on the ceiling and until it passes by. Because apparently it's not going to crash into Earth, it's just going to pass us. So... yeah, they get up down to the basement and they start like walking around on the
They find themselves lying on the ceiling.
Yeah, and the gravitational forces are pushing them up and up and up, and it's like hurting them, and then it just kind of stops because it's past. Like the planet's kept going.
Okay, now here's the part.
Yeah.
Here's the science that I just gotta fucking talk about.
Yeah.
Okay, so now I didn't even bother looking up the size of Venus compared to Earth, but they say here it's comparable to size. So
Yeah.
I'm just gonna take that at its word because that's something I should do. So you've got two planets that are roughly the same size. No matter how close they get, the gravitational pull of one will not lift things literally beneath ground level up towards it.
Yeah.
If anything, if that... Okay, let's just say that it wasn't Venus and it was fucking Jupiter.
Yeah.
That was that close. It wouldn't pull us up.
Yeah, I mean, like...
Because Earth still has its gravity and it's going to work on us first. But what it would do is the two planets would fucking collide.
Yeah. Or at the
And
very
smush
least. Yeah.
like bugs.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, and actually, if you think about it, even using the Jupiter thing, it's like Jupiter's moons have atmospheres in some cases, and they don't like fly off the fucking planet. So yeah, no, it's the same thing. Like it would create either an orbit around each other, or they collide.
Exactly. That's how things like to behave in space. They either like to spin around each other
Or collide.
or just fight.
Yeah,
May the best planet win. Welcome to Earth.
I was surprised that quote didn't come up in this fucking this fucking story. Oh man. Okay, so yeah. Anyway, the Venus leaves.
Yeah.
it gave its parting kiss.
It's
and
like,
walked
you know
away.
what? I don't like it here.
Yeah.
Let's go see how Saturn's doing.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll test out Uranus.
Bet you didn't think you were going to have to crack that joke today.
Yeah, it takes them as they come.
Yeah. So
yeah, Venus leaves.
and they
all
drop.
like,
They
"Fuck
get down to
this
the normal.
noise."
They get down to the normal floor, to the ground again, and they're like, "Oh man, we can do it!" And then everything drops. The stadium crashes back down to earth, and they like the building, like the basement, partially collapses, crushing parts. When they wake up, because they, like, spoilers, they survive. The one guy has only gotten like a concussion. The other one lost his arm, and then
Tyrell, because he's the
Tyrell,
black
poor
one.
Tyrell.
Yeah, his legs fucking crushed under shit.
His
and
arm is gone.
Keith had fucking amputated his arm because it was
slab of rock.
unsavable.
Yeah.
And Keith, trust me, Keith is a fucking doctor.
Oh man.
And I gotta say, in a fucking dark, fucking collapsed basement, Keith must be also a bit of a fucking wizard to amputate a limb
Yeah.
and stop the bleeding
In
and have
darkness.
the patient be conscious.
Yeah. With no, like, because we never were told if they have a flashlight, if there's any kind of lighting system at all. It's all in darkness. And then they wait it out, I think, right? Like, and then they wake up in beds, in a hospital.
They
and
spent several days eating rats and worm too.
yes, before they woke up and they were in a hospital and stuff. So they were rescued somehow. Tyrell was there on his was in a bed, but he's not doing too well. They don't think he's gonna make it. So I can't remember, what is the main character's name? Do we?
I don't even
Yeah.
know. I think it's I.
I think it's I. Nice. So he gets out.
Where am I, IS?
He gets to he leaps out of his bed because he's fine. Goes over to Tyrell's bed. Keith's there, sitting there, watching his friend. And Tyrell goes on this ridiculous, like, sappy speech about you've got to live on. You're gonna have a
Doctor said I'm going out. I guess that is it. No, you're gonna live. You have to survive. Look at what we've been through. And then, for no reason, there's a change in paragraph, even though in the previous paragraph, both the narrator and Tyrell were speaking. I did survive, and I died like so many others, but I'm doing it now. I'm still here after the apocalypse. I've seen the new day. This is the Earth after the disaster. You will live on and meet new people. You'll get married. Blah, blah, blah,
Yeah,
blah, blah.
yeah. It's like this kid is like what, 15, 16, and he is spouting shit that like an elderly character from an apocalypse movie would say. Like, holy crap. So anyway, Tyrell and like Tyrell passes. The saddest.
And we all shed a tear.
Yeah.
Laughing our asses off.
So the story goes on with
Years went by.
Yeah.
Society repaired itself. And, like, basically,
utopia.
yeah, like, everyone is super fucking cooperative and shit. We're all
There are
like,
still
working
raiders.
together. Yeah.
It does point out that there are still like bandits and raiders on the coasts. But they've formed the rest of the world has formed this super society of awesome people. And he's got,
Because, you know, all of the shit that happened, fucking Wi-Fi's still up.
yeah.
You know, telephone, fuck it, all of it.
Yeah. Keith's still around. He's got a girlfriend or a wife or whatever.
He's got a wife, bitches.
This main character's got a wife now. They've got
Just
kids.
as Tyrell predicted.
Just as
motherfucker.
Tyrell was the savior of the...
Yeah.
Anyway, he died for your sins.
We're going to call him Black Jesus who didn't come back to life.
Yeah. So, and true to his form, because he asked him, named one of his kids after Tyrell, and then
Funny name for a white kid. Tyrell's words, not mine. I'm not.
yeah,
racist.
it actually literally does say that.
That's like Tyrell's like parting shot at Whitey or something. I don't know. I'm guessing
You know what? It's
Tyrell.
like- it is like-
I don't even think Tyrell was the one who knew how to hotwire a car. I'm pretty sure that was Keith.
Yeah, it's Keith. Keith was like
Way to play the not to stereotypes the entire time, and then just at the end it's like, haha, funny
Well, I
name for
kinda-
a white kid.
I kind of think it's like a parting shot for being the first to die, like in so many movies and stories.
Yeah, they definitely, like, Tyrell's whole, like, everything about Tyrell dying plays on black tropes in cinema.
It's so fucking true.
It's like, oh, it's a funny name for a white kid. I'm the only one of us to die.
Yeah. So,
Thanks for not making me the guy who hotwired the car at the start.
well, no, because we saved that for the apocalypse nut. Because obviously Keith was obsessed with the apocalypse. Like, he was ready for this shit. But anyway, so a couple of years down the road, the main character's living his life, and he hears a knock on the door, and he goes to it.
On Sunday.
Yeah. Oh, okay, yes.
Don't know what fucking Sunday. It's just on Sunday.
Yeah. Yeah. We're not told specifics anymore.
And, I mean, I feel like this is a prime time to do an Any Given Sunday joke, but I don't know anything about Any Given Sunday, so...
Yeah.
Insert that joke here. Boop. There we go.
You actually
So,
know?
yeah, he goes... I don't have a joke. I don't know anything about Any Given Sunday.
Okay.
So, yeah, on Sunday, someone knocks on his fucking door. He answers the door, and there's this old man who just comes in and sits down, and he's like, "Motherfucker, get out of my house!" And his dad's all like, "Don't you remember me, my son?" And he's all like, "Motherfucker, Dark Vader!" And he's all like, "You are my father!" Or whatever and shit.
Yeah, and his mom comes in too. So his mom and his dad from way back when,
From Springfield, who were
Yeah.
at work in Springfield.
Oh my god. Yeah, they survived, and bam, they're back, and it was so heartwarming and shit. And that's the end of this gripping tale of insanity.
They're
and
all hugging and
silliness.
crying and loving each other and shit, and it's absolutely fucking disgusting.
Yeah. So that was our ramshackle rundown of the physics of madness. So, even with our interspliced commentary on the story, we still have a little bit to say.
Oh, we got lots
That
to
soapbox
say.
is coming out, and look, it's got a friend. Yeah, this I read this through this week. Which, by the way, thank you, Dr. Leviathan, for suggesting this one for us this week. Because I feel now justified every time I suggest.
Really? Because how much fun did you have reading this fucking train wreck?
Okay, I will give you that, but you've
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. At least mine was fun. I mean, it was a fucking, oh man, it was...
It was bad. It was
it was a fucking train
I just
wreck.
wanna-
But don't worry, I'm gonna be okay.
Yeah. I'm just gonna write down lay
Fuck
down
the
what
U.S. Marshals.
yeah. I'm just gonna lay down what my thoughts are, or my the connections I was seeing that this person was obviously ripping off. Stephen King's The Mist, The Day After Tomorrow, Snakes on a Plane.
The day after tomorrow, really?
Yeah, The Day After Tomorrow for their whole apocalypse, the apocalypse has suddenly happened. They know what to do, kind of bullshit. What's the one where the planets start colliding into each other? Another one, Independence Day. There are just numerous movies that, as I was reading this, I was like, okay, this person clearly ripped off that, or has seen this and decided to incorporate that, has done this, incorporated that. Wow. Oh my god. What am I reading? I'm reading a high schooler's
You are reading
story.
the greatest amalgamation of fan fiction ever.
Yeah, it's kind of what it is. It's like a fan fiction to all the disaster movies in history of cinema.
Well,
All the major ones.
Yeah, 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just, and the dialogue is very primitive. It doesn't fit. Some of it doesn't even fit the characters at all. For age wise, they should not be talking like that.
What are you talking about? They should all talk like everything.
Oh, and then that ending even felt like friggin' War of the Worlds with Tom Cruise. So it's just by the ending.
Oh,
of
that
movie.
ending was just so completely out of left field.
I know.
It's actually hilarious because it's almost like a Hollywood film.
Yeah.
Where, they
Yeah,
had this really depressing ending and then they, tested it in front of a test audience and they were like, well, I don't like how depressing the movie, the ending is. It kind of makes me want to go home and eat a bullet. So, they just tack on this,
Special ending.
sappy, happy, crappy ending.
Because they never showed what happened to
Involving
the
parents, that we, heard about,
Yeah.
but we never
never
actually met.
Yeah.
And, yeah, just absolutely fucking out of left field, they finally show up, like...
After years, apparently, of well, I guess they need some time to find them and, like, survive themselves, but, oh my god, so ridiculous.
Yeah, like, just so ridiculous.
Like...
It's absolutely preposterous. And it's just fucking awesome.
I'm glad you got a lot of laughs out of this one.
Oh yeah, I definitely, like, okay, don't get me wrong, this thing is fucking horrible. It breaks so many cardinal rules. Like the cardinal rule of dialogue. When you change speakers and you're writing, what do?
You usually, like, hit enter and, like start a new line, right?
Why do people always say it like that?
Sorry.
It's a new paragraph.
Sorry, yeah.
But yes, that's what happens when you hit enter and tab.
You start a new line, start a new paragraph, yeah.
Yeah, it's a new paragraph. And this guy just fucking has, like, all three of the main characters, which are pretty much the only people with fucking speaking lines.
Yeah.
You'll have them all speak in the same paragraph, and it's just absolutely infuriating to read. Just boggles my mind. It's like, are you trying to save space? What, you got a page limit you gotta keep this in?
Obviously not if it's being posted on creepypasta.wiki.
But yeah, just like that one chaps my ass quite a bit because I don't know, it's like the first thing you learn about writing dialogue.
Yeah.
New speaker, new paragraph.
Well, as you said before we started this, it feels very much like a high schooler's draft of, like, a disaster movie. Like, he wanted to make it a really good, like what they thought would be a good disaster story. But it's coming out of a high schooler who's just starting creative writing class.
Yeah, it's
totally
written by someone who doesn't know enough.
Yeah.
And that may sound harsh, but it's really just the fact of the matter is they don't know enough. They don't, they clearly don't know enough about physics, just with the way gravity is interacting with things.
Yeah.
They don't understand, the physics of the solar system.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, the outer part of it is completely ignored.
They just don't comprehend how things work, like, breaking into a fucking pressurized cabin at whatever.
Yeah, like 15,000 feet in the air, you're gonna have a bad time. Like, that alone is gonna ruin your day. Let alone aliens.
If you are fucking strapped into a fucking, you're into your seat, and cabin pressure is suddenly lost, you are still going to have a bad fucking day.
Yeah. Also, I don't know why, and maybe it's just because, like, I need to have something to, like, give a proper description to these monsters. But every time the monster, like, showed up, I in my head, like, my mental image was a vulture-y humanoid creature, like a Skeksis from Dark Crystal, or a Sycophant demon from, like, Warhammer 40. And I don't know why, but it's just like that. Whenever they showed up,
I don't know about either of those things.
It's like
I just saw my own thing.
Yeah, exactly. But
you know what? No, fuck it. I'm gonna retcon what I saw. Why? Because fuck it. If half the shit that happened in this can happen, I can fucking retcon my opinion. I saw a one-eyed, one-armed, one-horned, purple people eater.
Oh my god.
That's what you see now.
Yeah, that's what I see now.
I retconned your fucking opinion.
Yes. God, and it's just like, yeah, like, it's, and there's this purple, like, that purple cloud, like, it makes it harder to breathe. Slightly harder to breathe.
I honestly just thought that he was a Jimi Hendrix fan.
Oh,
right? Because I don't know if the actual words "purple haze" are in this together.
No, I don't think they are. But yeah, it's essentially...
It's definitely the combo I kept going to. Now, maybe that's just because, I'm, like, fucking twice this author's age.
I just kept thinking, like, the whole, like, rift in reality, the mist thing, I just kept thinking that movie that was an adaptation to Stephen King's Mist. Except a little bit more derpy.
And actually, I'm also going to throw in a little bit of The Stand. Not so much because of like the whole story, although they are both apocalyptic stories. But the Stand's apocalypse caused by, a virus that kills like
it's not
99.8% of the population.
Yeah.
But the fact that they end up in, I'm pretty sure it was Boulder, Colorado. There we go. I can speak.
Mm.
And that's where the good guys ended up in Stand.
Oh wow. Yeah.
So yeah, I'm definitely seeing some
not plagiarism,
but
some fans.
Some fan
Wisdom.
nod to Stephen King in here, in a couple of places.
Yeah.
Obvious, I enjoyed those because I'm a big fan of King himself.
Yeah,
so.
I could appreciate it. It's just
I was a big enough fan to catch, like I said, I don't even know if it was intended, but I totally caught the Boulder, Colorado in an apocalyptic scenario.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh, I'm glad they went there. Apparently Boulder is the place to be when the world ends.
Yeah.
Unless you're a bad guy, then go to fucking Vegas. Fuck you.
Nice. What did you think of the title, like for fitting this story? It threw me off completely. I don't know what I was expecting for a story that was titled "The Physics of Madness," but I was not really expecting an apocalypse tale.
Well,
initially, anyway. That's what we got, so that's what it is.
Yeah,
but I was expecting
very early on. You're like, oh, okay, this is what I'm getting.
Yeah,
it does not
shy
its
away
cards at all.
No. And that's the other thing is that it rushes it so it's like bam, we're here. Bam, we did this. It skims over. I mean, thankfully it does because it makes it that much shorter.
Well, yeah,
it's a long tail.
If this hadn't have skimmed over things, I would have been reaming it. And I can actually say that that's a good thing about this is that it fucking glosses over shit that doesn't need to be done.
Yeah.
I don't know. Because before I started reading this, I did not know what to expect from the title because the title is very doesn't paint a picture of what a story
this story is.
Yeah.
It makes it the only thing that I can think is the physics. So the Hadron Collider of madness. So it's the crazy insanity that came out of this physics experiment. But that's really all I can that's pushing me my connections. Is that it's something that, he was like, oh well, it has to do with the Hadron Collider thing and horrible monstrosities from beyond time and space, from another dimension even, come in and cause massive chaos and insanity across the planet.
But it causes absolutely no madness because everyone's just matter of fact and accepting of everything.
I know, and that's what I didn't like. Oh, I hate.
Yeah, I don't mind the use of the word physics. It's the madness that really kind of got to
maybe
me.
The physics of chaos, but because that's kind of what happened was that it was just really chaotic time. But it's just when I hear physics of madness, I think of something cerebral.
It would have gone better with it can't be cerebral because it has to be physical.
That's true.
It's the physics of madness.
Yeah.
It's also I did kind of actually take a bit of exception to the word physics because clearly this you don't know your physics.
Yeah.
And I mean, maybe I'm wrong on some of these points, but I don't think so. Because I'll admit I'm not, a studied, learned person when it comes to my knowledge of physics, but one of the great things about physics is pretty fucking predictable.
Yeah.
If you have a base understanding of physics and you think logically, you can pretty much discern how things are gonna go.
Yeah.
And this story does not any physics right. So in that regard, when you take a look at the whole story and compare it to the title's kind of shite.
The only thing that title's working for it is that it made it makes people want to read it.
Well,
check
it
out, cause
grabbed my attention because I'm a big physics fan.
Yeah, exactly. And we're just
I don't necessarily keep completely up to date, but when I do stumble upon physics news, I read it. I don't just
skim it over.
I don't pass it by.
Yeah,
like I do with some of the biology stuff, unless completely awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, physics is my favorite of the sciences, so yeah. It grabbed my attention, but that's all it did.
Yeah.
And I guess that got its spot on our show, so...
Good job, writer. Yeah, it's just...
I don't know. If my assumption is right and they're a young
Yeah, like, I mean,
person, like, keep at it.
yeah, keep going if that's the case.
You know, because, like, okay, this was really bad, like, really poorly written, but I'm chalking a lot of that up to, like, age and inexperience.
Yeah.
Because that being said, I mean, like, I totally enjoyed myself. Like, I mean, okay, he's got to get, like, they've got to get their dialogue better, and they just need to experience more.
Yeah.
In a general thing, they do need to have experiences. And I mean, fact checking.
Yeah. Like,
Like, if you don't know shit, or you think you know shit, fact check. Because if you think you know shit, you don't know anything.
especially since it's not hard nowadays.
No, it's a fucking Google search away.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I mean, once upon a time, you know, authors had to pay people fucking lots of money to go do this shit for them. But, you know, now,
You just
Google
Google.
search.
Yep. Wikipedia. Sometimes. Not always.
Yeah. But, yeah, just, yeah. So, like, okay, I didn't like this. It wasn't good. But at least I had fun.
Yeah. And so, like,
I don't...
I can't in good conscience recommend it to for any merits.
No, but I do
provided.
know a few people who I would recommend it to because they, like me, enjoy a good train wreck.
Yeah.
But
So I mean, yeah, like if you know somebody who, I mean, if you want to check this out even after we've done this episode, go for it because it is a train wreck. It's fun to read.
It's good for lulz.
It's good for hilarity. And if you know somebody who will appreciate a good laugh at the expense of bad writing, or inexperienced writing, go for it.
Well,
it's
just because it's inexperienced doesn't mean it isn't bad.
So yeah, and it's just, but in like otherwise, I there's no way I can recommend this one other than it on its merits of being a bad story and funny to read.
Yeah, because it was the.
There's no whole lot else to say. We've kind of we spoke our piece during the commentary and thereafter. So that's this week's episode. So if you like what you heard, leave us a comment in the comment section below wherever this gets posted, either on YouTube or Tumblr or Kiwi6. Send us some or on Facebook. Send us a review on iTunes since we're up there now. So that'd be awesome of you. We are both on Twitter at Review Cultist and at Dr. Leviathan. And also send us an email on at aldenterigamortis at gmail.com. That's aldenterigamortis at gmail.com, where you can also send us suggestions for other creepypastas you'd like us to discuss on the show. So until next time, I have been your host, Review Cultist.
And I'm still Dr. Leviathan.
And this has been Al Dente Rigamortis. Sleep well.